Hi all, welcome back to the final whistle for the EFL Championship Forum. It's been a while since we've done this, but because it's the international break, we are going to tonight look back at the season so far. It's something that it's something we wanted to cover on the channel. Have a look at stats. Have a look at shot results of the season so far, prize of the season. Which team has surprised you so far in where you've had them? Then we're going to talk about the game of the season so far, any contenders, player of the season so far. We're going to talk about as much as we can. We're obviously going to mention Leicester. We're going to have a look at who is doing better than we predicted. I mean, there's quite a few who I predicted to be down near to the bottom, but they're doing better than I predicted. But yeah, welcome to the channel, everyone. Hope everyone's well tonight. We've just had a couple of days break because it's the international break. But yeah, we're back at it now and ready to go. We've re-energized the batteries and we're ready to go for this show. Hello, Jack. Let's hope that Enzo Ball continues after the international break and Leicester City game or wins one. The Leicester City women have been playing Willie Kirk football, haven't they? They've been doing well. The Kirk football. I mean, they I think it was 10 different players touched the ball in the lead-up goal to Hannah Kane's goal last night in the Conti Cup. But yeah, I remember when we did that against Southampton. Plenty of players touched the ball, and I think we made 33 passes in that game. Frente and Didi's goal as well. So a lot of improvement in the men and the women's teams this season. Hi Kyle, how are you, mate? Hi Jack, roll on a week on Saturday for the next match, going on the bus for it. It's going to be a long trip. Yeah, Swansea away, mate. Eddie, how are you, mate? Hello, Kason. Ain't you a bit late? Well, we were just talking about stats and figures and that, getting all the things written up for you lot, what we're going to cover in the show. And like I say, there's a lot to discuss tonight. And yeah, if you guys have got anything you want to put forward, any questions and that regarding the championship and that, then you get your questions in the comments. We'll answer as many as we can. I'm going to be joined by Football Martin. Guys, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. We'd be really much appreciated. Let's get my guest in then, Mr. Football Martin. How are you, my friend?
Hey, I'm good, mate. Thank you very much. Hope you're well.
I'm all right, Martin.
A little bit of a break, is it? A little bit of an international break just to have a little bit of time out and reflect upon where we're all at, really. It's a good time for a reflection, the champion. Then, you know, sort of these international breaks, just to look back. You lose all your players, don't you? But that chance just to have a bit of downtime.
I think it gives you that chance to reflect on where your team's at in the league and where they can improve after the international break and looking at the games ahead and all that, and just re-energize the batteries as well, Martin. You know what I mean? You know, we've been for a lot of games since the international break before. We've played a lot of games since then, the Tuesday games and the Wednesday games or whatever, the 3 games a week situation that started to kick in. But yeah, it's good to have. Hello, Martin. Also, we will be TikTok live tonight. Well, hopefully. Martin, give everyone a plug to your channel. Tell everyone what you're going to be doing on Football Martin. I'm going to give you the solo layout to tell everybody. Go, Martin, go.
Yeah, please give me a follow. Like and subscribe to my new YouTube channel at Football Martin _ Some really good content. You don't just have to be a Southampton fan. I'm obviously a Southampton fan, but some match day vlogs. But if you're visiting St Mary's with your team in the next couple of weeks and you want to come on the match day vlog, please do give me a DM. Give me a follow on TikTok as well at Football Martin _ Great content going out on a daily basis. Loads of debate shows as well, looking back at the first 11 games, players that have impressed us. And yeah, all talk around the club that I support, Southampton. So yeah, great content, guys. So please do give me a like, give me a subscribe, and get involved.
Yes, Martin. So, what did you make of the season as a whole so far? I mean, we played 11 games. You know, a lot of games have been played. Leicester City going into this international break are top of the championship. Ipswich are second. There's been a slight gap now, hasn't there, Martin? Obviously, Leicester 10 points from third, Ipswich 8 points from third. Early on, it's been quite significant, hasn't it, for Ipswich and Leicester and the amount of wins they picked up. And I guess it gives them that little bit of breathing space, doesn't it, at the minute to pull away early on. It shows good signs for both clubs.
Yeah, both sides are the best two that I've seen. Obviously surprised that how good Ipswich have been under Kieran McKenna. Obviously knew that they were a good side coming up. I saw a bit of them last year, but wow, they've taken the league by absolute storm, haven't they? For a team that have come up from League One. But you know what? I was having a conversation with my best mate's dad at the weekend at the Southampton game, and he made a really good point, and he's actually really true in what he says. That you have these teams and they come up from League One, and they've got all the players fighting to be in the big time because they all want to play in the Premier League, but they all want to earn the money of Premier League players. And they're just fighting and they're giving everything they can, you know, no matter what abilities they got. Because if you look at Ipswich side, they probably don't have the quality that Leicester have or the quality that Leeds or Southampton have. But the one thing they have is team spirit and work ethic. And they're really giving something to their manager, giving something to their fans, and an exciting side to watch. They're aggressive. And you don't see that many sides that are aggressive these days. But yeah, they're fighting for the big time. These, like my mate's dad said, they're fighting for the big money. We're in a bit of a situation where we come down. We've got a few players that don't actually want to be at the football club. They're on the big money. So they're not as hungry as these young lads, you know, Nathan Broadhead, Connor Chaplin. These boys, they've been absolutely superb. You know, when Bobby Robson was the manager of Ipswich Town back all those years ago, they're comparing the atmosphere down at Portman Road to that of when Bobby Robson was the manager of Ipswich. So that, you know, that it's bouncing down there, like it's bouncing at Leicester. These are the two sides that I just see both of them. I see Leicester winning and I see Ipswich as it is. I just don't see there being much change between those two teams.
No, Leicester, you know, was obviously favourites, weren't they, before the season even started to go on and win the championship. Leeds were there as well. Southampton, you know, you're always going to be favourites when you come down from the Premier League, Martin. You know it is.
Yeah, you've got good players, and you keep good players, and you've got the ability to use the parachute payments. It's a beauty, isn't it, for a club coming down? You can have a real good go if you've got good owners and good direction.
I think Leicester City have now equalled the record, haven't they? For the points to get to 30 points. I think it was Sheffield United, was it? 05-06. Sheffield United was the last team to do it.
Yeah, that victory before the international break, it saw the Foxes become equal fastest team to amass 30 points in a championship season. They've matched Sheffield United's of 2005-2006. That was their 10th win in 11 games. A point at Swansea next week after the international break. That would be enough for Leicester to break an all-time record. It would be the best start for any team in the second tier after 12 games since it was rebranded the Championship 19 years ago. Jack, you must be like ecstatic. It's an incredible statistic.
Yeah, I don't like stats myself.
I'm the opposite. I love a stat.
I try and not read too much into stats like that, Martin, because you know what it's like when you bloody read stats like that and you think, "Oh, we could do this," and then you get a bit nervous, and then you start getting sweaty palms, and then can Leicester do it? It's good to see. It shows how much improvement the Leicester side's had under Enzo Maresca. You look at the players like Yannick Vestergaard. Wout Fass, I mean, solid defenders this season, if you ask me. Harry Winks, energy in midfield. I mean, what a solid midfielder he's been. You could say he's been one of the best Championship signings this summer transfer window just gone, Harry Winks. Keenan Dewsbury Hall, Wilfred Ndidi, they're adapting to the new roles that Enzo wants to play. I mean, I think it was the Tier 2 podcast, was it? The Tier 2 podcast run by Ryan Dilkson out. They had Enzo Maresca as 20th place for the worst managers, and you're thinking, hold on a minute, surely something's not right. And then now all of a
the best in the business, though.
All of a sudden, they're like, oh, we love Maresca ball and all this. They've all of a sudden changed their mind, and it shows how much impact and influence Leicester City have had on Championship fans, which Enzo's bringing this exciting stuff to Leicester now, isn't he? The way we are now starting to score goals. I mean,
absolutely,
we're scoring more goals than what we scored in the first 5 games. I mean, it was just about one goal lead or something like that. And you're thinking it's something you had to hold on to. But now it's like, you know what? We're playing with some confidence. We're winning the games. I mean, 10 wins out of 11. You couldn't ask for any more. I mean, you'd have snapped your hands off if someone had gave you that at the start of the season. But to go and break a record against Swansea and only needing a point, it shows how far Leicester City have come from the Brendan Rodgers era to where we are now under Enzo Maresca. And Leicester City are going to be an exciting team to watch this season for sure. I know if you look at it, teams are like, oh yeah, but Leicester's going to walk the league. This league ain't easy. If you look at how we started our first 5 games, I know we won games, but like I said, how have you found the Championship, Martin? I mean, you're a Southampton fan. How have you found life under Russell Martin?
Well, in fact, I've actually enjoyed the Championship as a league in itself. I think it's competitive. I think there's some really good teams in there. I've seen some really good games this season, and I am enjoying Nova. And look, a lot of Southampton fans very much. Yeah, a lot of Southampton fans were like, oh, yeah, the reset will do us good. This reset. Well, I like to ask the fans, what do they actually think of how the reset's gone? Because I actually don't think our reset's gone very well, because I don't feel we've had a proper reset. We've still got a few players hanging on from last season that don't want to be at the football club. But I think we've got a manager that's already under pressure. Now, we lost 4 games on the spin against Sunderland, obviously Leicester City at home. International break wedged in between those games as well. Then obviously defeats against Ipswich and the defeat up at Middlesbrough. It caused a lot of damage, and we've not really recovered from it. I don't think we definitely won't be an automatic side. If we scrape the playoffs, I'd be happy, but I'm not convinced we will, to be honest. More I see of this team, the more I worry for us. Just the style of play, the mentality of some of the players. I think we'll be in the Championship for another season, and I'm just getting used to the league, trying to enjoy it, because I feel we're probably going to be here for a while, unfortunately.
Talking to you the other day, Martin, you said about leaders in the dressing room. Obviously, Russell Martin's come out and said there ain't no leaders. I mean, how much does that show in the lack of ambition, Martin, with you saying that, you know what, there's no leaders in the dressing room? Surely as a team, you need that leader. You really need that leader to progress as a team, who's going to hold that team together, be that super glue in the team of if things go wrong, then they can pick them up and get them going again. And is that something that you feel now is going to be lacking throughout the season?
Yeah, it'll kill us, really. Jack Stevens was the captain at Southampton. He got injured against QPR at home back in start of September, end of August. So he's out till pretty much Christmas. So he's a massive miss. But if you have one leader in the squad, it's not enough, is it? Russell Martin actually came out in a press conference a couple of weeks ago, and he spoke about Leicester City. And he said, well, Leicester City, they've not had the teething problems that Southampton have had. What do you put it down to, Russell? And Russell said, well, they went out and bought 2 experienced England internationals in Harry Winks and the centre half as well. I can't think of who's the centre half you bought from Everton.
Connor Cody from Wolves.
Connor Cody from Wolves. But why didn't our ownership group think to themselves, hold on a minute, you're going to need a few leaders in the dressing room. We need a Harry Winks. You've already got Yannick Vestergaard there. You've already got Jamie Vardy there. These people, even Dewsbury Hall, he looks to me like a player that's well above his years. He leads by example. And these people are vital at a football club. We don't have any of them. in our team. But the teams that are doing well, they have leaders and grafters, and that's why they are where they are in the division, and that's why we are where we are in the division. In my opinion, work that little bit harder. Leicester work that little bit harder, don't they? Ipswich work that little bit harder. They run that little bit more. They give that little bit more.
Yep. Before we talk about other clubs' starts of the season so far, talk to me about your start of the season so far, Martin. With Southampton, you are 10th place. You have 5 wins, 2 draws, 4 defeats. You have a goal difference of 417 against 21 goals you've conceded so far. A -4 goal difference, 17 points. There's a 1 point gap between you and 6th. I mean,
we've actually got the worst disciplinary record in the division as well, believe it or not, which I was quite surprised at. I didn't think we were the most nastiest team in the world, but I was looking at statistics today, and it was interesting. Adam Armstrong's joint top goal scorer in the division at the moment, alongside Jack Clark and Smodics at Blackburn. So he's been the standout man at Southampton. Has been Adam Armstrong. He's had more shots this season already than he had in the whole of last season in the Premier League. So there's a massive difference between the two divisions. I personally feel, as a football fan watching it, but if you've seen a player that's really struggled in the Premier League for 2 seasons, is it all of a sudden he's in the Championship and he looks a different class? It's a big difference, but you get so much more time on the ball in the Championship. But I'm really disappointed with Southampton's recruitment in the summer. I don't think it was quite good enough. Look, they let a lot of players go, which was to be expected. But it's what you bring in and how you mix that up. I don't think the mix was being right again, and they didn't learn the lessons from last summer. But Sport Republic, who bought Southampton Football Club, rode into town around about 20 months ago. Southampton were a Premier League club, punching above their weight, but they were doing okay. They were doing all right, and they had no danger of going down. A manager that was doing a decent job on a limited budget, much to his critics. He was doing a good job. This lot come in, they overhauled too much and too soon. They kicked the fans pretty much in the guts, got us relegated, and the atmosphere obviously got pretty needily last year because you lost a lot of games. But that's been a little bit of a hangover last season, and now you've got players and managers coming out this season saying that they don't like the fans booing. There's a big debate about booing at football at the moment, and at St Mary's they got booed off again at the weekend. It's there's a nasty hangover, but it's not just performances now. This is something that's built up at our football club over a period of time, and we're compared to Leicester, because you see Leicester doing what Leicester are doing, similar size ground. Lost quite a lot of players like Southampton did. We're always going to be compared to them, but they've hit the ground running because they've got a few more leaders in the dressing room, and they were a bit more ready in the transfer window. They got ready, didn't they? They started the season ready, Jack, and I think that was something we didn't do. We started the season with Nathan Teller, James Ward-Prowse, and Romario Lavia. They were still in the squad on the opening day of the season. 2 weeks later, they're all gone. It's not good enough, unfortunately, and it's caused us a massive problem.
So how would you sum up your start to the season?
Really, really, really average. I'd say it's really average. Okay. I'd say it's a little bit concerning, but yeah, I'd say it's really average. Disappointed.
Martin, a question from Scott. If the miracle happened and Southampton did go back up, would you feel confident in staying in the Premier League?
With the current ownership, no. Not with our current owners. Yeah.
Martin, let's get on to some of the other teams in their season so far. We'll start with Middlesbrough, Sheffield Wednesday, Rotherham. We'll talk about them sort of sides. I mean, Rob, talk to me about Sheffield Wednesday. Obviously, they've sacked Isco now, haven't they? I think that was long overdue, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Shanziri, I don't know what's bloody happening with him. He did come out and say he's not putting any more money into the club. Sheffield Wednesday have now got the worst record ever to a championship season. Talk to me about Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, their season ain't even got started yet, has it? I mean, they've got 3 points, rock bottom of the table.
Yeah.
Can Sheffield Wednesday get out of this mess, Martin?
Well, no, I don't think they will, but they need to appoint a manager pretty quickly. The man that's been tipped to take the job there is actually a guy that was assistant manager at Southampton under Ralph Hasenhüttl when he arrived at St Mary's, a guy called Danny Roll. He's heavily linked with the job there. He's a young man. He's always been an understudy, from what I believe. He's never managed a team. It'd be a big job for him to take on, you would think. It's not rubber stamped as of yet. It's a risky appointment, you would say. He's highly rated. I think he's been at Leipzig, Bayern Munich, and obviously at Southampton as well as assistant managers. But it's a big job to take on, isn't it? I'd say it's an experienced man's job, really, to go in there and give them any chance if they wanted a chance. But maybe they're just resigned to the fact that they probably will go back down. It would take a miracle for them to get out of it, Jack. You would think, wouldn't you? They're just not winning enough games, and the fan base is needily there as well. 3 points after 11 games, disastrous, absolutely disastrous. But sacking of Darren Moore in the summer just looks like a criminal decision, really, when he got them the two back-to-back promotions.
Yeah, Chanzeri, he talked about Sheffield Wednesday making the playoffs this season. I mean, everyone had a little bit of a laugh about it, like you do.
Yeah.
But like I say, Chanzeri is not helping himself, is he, in any situation at the minute? Sheffield Wednesday always knew it was going to be a tough season, a long season, but now it seems even longer for them. They're not winning a game. I know they've picked up 3 points, a point against Leeds, but to lose 8 games in your opening 11 games. Sheffield Wednesday's team, when Darren Moore left, I mean, you could say, is this team even good enough to compete? I mean, they did bring in players, but it's like you're putting square pegs in round holes with Sheffield Wednesday at the minute. And it don't look like it's getting any better soon from unless they can get in, like you say, a man who can, like a Neil Warnock. I know Sheffield Wednesday fans don't like the name Neil Warnock because of the Sheffield United connections, but that's the sort of manager you need to come in and sort this mess out. I mean, you look at him again for Huddersfield. He went in, steadied the ship, kept them up, and he did well. But then he fell out with the Huddersfield owner over transfers and that, and then he ended up leaving after the Stoke game. But you need that sort of Neil Warnock character at Sheffield Wednesday, who can really dig deep in this situation with a team and that, and really start getting them going again. Who would you be your ideal manager for Sheffield Wednesday, Martin? Are there any names particularly you think could go there and change the circumstances on the pitch and start getting them the wins?
I think someone that knows the division, like you've said, you've come out with a man that I would go for if I was the owner. You want someone that's experienced in the division. You need someone that knows how to win games. You look at what Warnock did at Huddersfield on a limit, on no budget really, but he does that at teams. He's one of the best managers around that's out of a job at the moment for this division. You take him all day long. Whether I don't think he would take it or even get offered it. I think that the owner will make a move where he doesn't have to spend a huge amount of money on a manager. He'll probably bring someone in unproven by the looks of it, much to the disgust of the fan base. But no, it's who's out of work that you would take at this moment in time. And Neil Warnock's the top of the list, isn't he? Without any question.
Yep, guys, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Go and subscribe to Martin's channel, who is that way. Go over to Football Martin _ on YouTube. I'll leave his channel link in the description for you so you can go and do that. The next one I want to focus on, Martin, is Middlesbrough. I mean, they had a bad start to the season, didn't they?
They
didn't
did
win a game.
Yeah.
They looked really bad. But I think it was you who said they needed that win and it will start to boost them again and get them going. Middlesbrough have now picked up 14 points in 11 games. They're 4 points off from the playoffs. I mean, Middlesbrough's season has really turned around now, hasn't it, despite that really bad start?
All since the last international break. They're definitely improving. But it was always going to be difficult, like losing Akpom's goals, wasn't it? It was always going to be a problem for them. But when Borough signed off for the last international break in early September, there was a 2-0 defeat to QPR, if you remember. They'd just come off the back of. They were rooted to the bottom of the Championship at that stage. It was after 5 games, the last international break. So they've really got themselves together since that international break. It's probably, you've got to give massive credit to Michael Carrick, really, because he's held his nerve. Like we said, shaky start, but he's continued to play the same football, hasn't he? It's probably the biggest test of his managerial career. But yeah, the chips have been down and he stood pretty firm, you would say. And the fan base have stuck with him. And yeah, they look to be a side that are just going to start to kick on. And there's no doubt that they will do as well. You know, I think he's a good manager. You don't do what he did last season if you ain't got a clue what he's doing. That's for sure. But yeah, I was quietly impressed with them when they played against us. They were quite well organised, to be fair. So yeah, I think Carrick will continue to see the upward trend there. Got a few players coming back into the fold now. I think Jones has made a return to the first team now as well. Was it Ismail Jones, the fellow that's made a return the last couple of weeks? Pretty major for them because they say he's been a key player, and Hayden Hackney's development, sort of like they said, he's kind of come through as well, but he's a central midfielder. They said that he's been top class since the last international break. So some real signs of improvement for them. They're certainly going to be a side that are going to kick on.
Queen's Park Rangers. After that Watford defeat at the start of the season, you know, they looked like they turned the corner. I mean, they did go and beat Middlesbrough. They have got 2 wins. How have you found Queen's Park Rangers? I mean, their home form is horrific. I believe they've not won a game at the Loftus Road for a year now. Is it?
So one win in 18-19. I speak to Asmir a lot because I work with Asmir Begovic. So I speak to him a lot. He said they're working really hard this week. He said the international break's usually a week where you have a bit of downtime. But obviously, there's no downtime this week. You know, the manager's got them in. They're working really hard. But I think he said to me earlier they've only won one of 18-19 games at Loftus Road as a club. So the home form
it's not bloody
is bad.
One, is it, Martin?
But QPR, they've only taken 2 points from their last 6 games. Obviously, they've dropped into the bottom 3 now as well, and lack of firepower up front. But I think one thing you notice about them, the way the manager probably wants them to play, they don't really reflect him, do they? As a manager, I don't think QPR, but he'll be feeling the pressure massively now. Massively there. They need to come back from this international break and hit the ground running. As I said, they didn't have a lot of players go away on international duty, so there's pretty much everybody there. So they're going to have to turn it around quickly, otherwise, the pressure will certainly start to mount there. It's a great football club, isn't it? Great club. Great stadium, just not scoring enough goals.
Rotherham United, 6 points from their first 11 games, lost 7, drawn 3, won 1. Talk to me about Rotherham. I mean, they're really struggling, aren't they, when it comes to
really struggling
form? When was the last time they even won a game? Rotherham United.
Well, they got a point. It the weekend.
It was the Norwich game, wasn't it? They picked up a 2-1 win over Norwich this season. That was their last win. That was a home game. They haven't really picked up the pace, have they, Rotherham? No. I know last season they pulled away from the relegation zone. But they always seem to be down there, don't they, Rotherham? You know, you look at other Yorkshire clubs who's been in that position. Barnsley were always up and down in that area, then they stayed up and then they went down and then back up again. Rotherham, for me, it's like they've not got enough in the squad to really...
They've got a thin squad.
Yeah, they've got a thin squad. They haven't really got a number of players and really some really good players to pull them away from this sort of situation. You know, you always know that Rotherham are going to be there and about. That's where people have had them this season. About the relegation zone. Some have had them to go down. But like I say, it's always going to be a tough season for a squad like Rotherham because, you know, they're not a, how do I put it, a top half side, or you know what I mean? They're always going to be fighting around that relegation, but they've not really had the season start what they would wish for. they was quite busy in the transfer window, wasn't they, Rotherham? They did bring in players, but it just don't feel like they've brought in enough quality to see the season through at the minute.
No, they haven't, Jack. And I had a good look at them at the weekend, because obviously they visited St Mary's at the weekend, had the opportunity to chat to a few of their fans about the season so far and expectations as well. And they've let 22 goals in this season, Rotherham. That's the most of any team in the division at this moment in time. I was surprised at the weekend of how poor they were. We walked away with a point. I was alarmed at the first half that the contrast and the difference between the two sides of how far ahead Southampton were of them. But the score obviously didn't reflect it. But they just, Southampton, obviously for their sins, they just didn't kill the game off.
Took the foot off the gas.
Rotherham, they struggled to string enough passes together. I'm not sure what their identity is, but the two fans that I spoke to before from my match day vlog, they said to me that they're missing the key centre half. They've got injuries all over the park. They're starting players that can't play 60 minutes. So they are really thin on the ground. And the two fans I spoke to, he said to me, anyone that finishes below us will get relegated. That's how they feel. They said if you can stay in the division, they'd be chuffed to bits. But he said that's the only aim, is to try and stay in the division. He said they played all right against Leicester. So the
game was a really good game.
Yeah, the best performance obviously against Norwich. But other than that, I expect they won't get another away point all season, you wouldn't think. They come to St Mary's and got something. How they got something, I don't know. The goalkeeper was absolutely superb for them. It was brilliant on Saturday. He done really well Saturday. He made some really good saves. And he might just give them a chance to get them points along the way. If you've got a good goalkeeper, it does make a big difference, doesn't it? But a team that you'd expect to probably get relegated, Jack.
Yeah, they've had like I said, they've had a tough run in, haven't they? Injuries have hit them. Injuries have hit them really hard. And then, you're playing against teams who can pick you off, can't they, if you've got really bad injuries in the areas that you need to strengthen, you know what I mean? And if players ain't lasting bloody 60 minutes, if players only can last 60 minutes on the pitch, they're going to be tiring out, aren't they? You know what I mean? Teams are just going to think, you know what, we'll just pass around Rotherham. They can only last 60 minutes. You know what I mean? We'll basically kill the game off late on. And I think that's something Southampton would have looked at. I mean, they did go 1-0 up, didn't they? But then I think with Rotherham, that it's a massive positive coming away with a 1 point from Southampton. Obviously, everyone expects them to get beat, but a goal by Hugo, a well-taken goal, a well-taken move by Rotherham. That's something they could build on going into this international break, I think, Rotherham. But I do think they'll be in and around that relegation area again this season. I don't see it improving, to be fair, at the minute, unless they can bloody get like a windfall in it, you know what I mean? Like a big pot of gold in it where they can go and buy a lot of players in January to really go and strengthen that team. So I think that's something they've got to go and do in January. But like I said, it all comes down to financials, doesn't it, Martin, with teams who really haven't got a lot of a budget to what other teams have. And I think that's something that it affects it, doesn't it, season by season. You just hope you can stay in the league to bring that financial funding in and that to help the club stabilise and strengthen the season after
some
each
monster
one.
clubs in this division, though. When you look through the SkyBet Championship this year, there's 3 teams that come down with bucket loads of money, and they've still got Premier League players playing for them, and you've got sides that just missed out on the playoffs, such as Sunderland, and they're tough. They're tough sides, and for Rotherham, every game's a cup final, isn't it? You have to treat it like a cup final and just try and gather enough points to stay up. But it's a horrifically hard division, as we're both we're finding out. Maybe not so for Leicester, but I'm seeing that this is a tough division, and if you've not got the tools and you're not equipped for it, and you're not prepared to run that extra mile, you're in big trouble.
Yeah, we look at the other sides of the league. Huddersfield, new manager Darren Moore. He's picked up 2 points in his first 3 games. Blackburn Rovers, Smodics is banging in the goals for them, but they picked up a big win over QPR last weekend.
21 goals they've let in Blackburn, second worst in the division, by the way. They're
Yeah,
letting a lot of goals in.
don't tell Jolly Ollie that.
Yeah.
West Brom, they picked up Hull under Liam Rosenior. What have you made of Hull this season so far?
Yeah, well, that's our next visit. Is to Hull City, Southampton. We go there. They've not lost at home yet, Hull, but they've only won once at home, which is bizarre, isn't it? But yeah, I think he's a good manager, Rossini. I think he'll have him right in there thereabouts, because they're a hard side to break down. I think you found that, didn't you? Like they're just they're well organised. They get men behind the ball. They play when they need to, but they're quite a disciplined side from what I've seen. I've not seen loads of them, but when I have seen them, I'm like, wow, they look well drilled by Rossini, to be fair. He's doing a good job, isn't he, as a manager?
I agree. They're playing some expansive stuff, aren't they? They're grinding out results that they need to.
Absolutely.
You know, you look at Norwich City this season, 5 wins, 4 defeats, 2 draws. I mean, Norwich look better at home this season so far than they do away, and I think that's where most of their points are going to come from for me for Norwich. Their home
They've
form.
lost the last 3 away games, haven't they, Norwich, as well?
Yeah, their away forms been dreadful,
Not very
hasn't
good
it, if you
away.
talk to Norwich fans. Sunderland again. They're doing well. They sit in 4th. 6 wins, 4 defeats, 1 draw. They're doing all right. Leeds United, they're picked up. Joel Pirro banging in the goals like you'd expect him to for the amount of money Leeds paid. Then you've got the likes of Watford, who's down the bottom. I mean, their away form's been dreadful, hasn't it? What have you made of Watford, and what have you made of this new contract extension for their manager?
Well, it's unlike them to give a manager a contract extension, isn't it? No, they'll probably still sack him if they go on a bad run. But they halted that run of 3 consecutive defeats, didn't they? In the draw against Cardiff City at the weekend, they needed a result, didn't they? Because it was becoming a bit of a rot for them. But yeah, they just don't travel well enough, do they?
No.
It's a stadium I actually want to go and visit, Vicarage Road. I've never been there. Looks like brilliant London stadium, doesn't it? Somewhere that you just think that could be such a fortress for them. And if they could then start going on the road and getting results, they would, you know, start to lift themselves up the table. But it's a side that, you know, they've ended up in the Championship, stuck in there that second season. And it's not a nice place, is it? When you drop into it, it could become a bit of a Stoke, couldn't it? You know, you end up in it and then all of a sudden you lose your parachute payments. It's harder to compete with the sides that are coming down, and it's difficult, isn't it? It's such a difficult division when you've ended up stuck in it for a couple of years. It's like it becomes quite flat, doesn't it? Because you wait for the reset, you wait for the rebuild, and has the rebuild happened? It probably has, but just not how they expected.
Nope. Martin, let's move on to stats before we move on to the so far topics. What stats have you got for me tonight then? What have you got written down? What we can discuss?
Well, the interesting for me really is probably been Ipswich that we spoke about at the top of your show today. Interesting that I read there. I didn't realise that Ed Sheeran was an Ipswich fan. I didn't realise that, but no club in the SkyBet Championship history has picked up 27 or more points from their first 11 games and failed to be promoted in that season. Bearing in mind that Ipswich have 28 points already, so
it's a big start.
You would say that they're probably gonna do the business. Really, I've been really impressed with them. I'm surprised at that stat. I just think I want that to be Southampton, and I wanted that to be us. I'm gutted that it's not us. Preston would surprise me a little bit as well, but Ryan Lowe's kind of said that he doesn't feel that his players are giving what they were given in the opening sort of 8 and 9 games. He said he's going to start demanding a bit more from his side. Be interesting to see what, because we've not really touched upon them. They're a side they were early pace setters in the division, weren't they?
Oh, wow,
they were
top
flying.
of the league.
Yeah, but they had the heavy defeats to West Brom, yourselves as well, and all of a sudden,
and
it started to look like it. In Ipswich, it looked like it was going to start to fall apart there. So whether they can halt that, I don't know. Other statistics, I was looking at clean sheets for goalkeepers today, and the Leeds goalkeeper, is it Melio? Can't pronounce his name.
Melio.
5 clean sheets, along with the Ipswich keeper as well, who's been in the team of the week. endless times. I keep seeing he's endless times in the team of the week. Really good goalkeeper. He come from Salford City. Am I right in saying that? I was looking today.
I'm not sure.
He's worked his way through the divisions. He's played at a lot of clubs, but he certainly found a home with Kieran McKenna, that's for sure. But the interesting one will be to see what Birmingham City do. Wayne Rooney's gone in there as manager. Something we haven't touched upon is the sacking at Birmingham City of John Eustace, who really and truly done a really good job there. You know, they've won 5 and drawn 3, lost 3. So fairly good start, really, Birmingham. But once again, they go and sack a manager that's doing really well. I think he was told before the weekend as well.
There's a lot been touched on, haven't they, regarding managers leaving their posts. I mean, Neil Warnock leaving Huddersfield.
This was a big
Moore
shot.
replacing him. Then Isco leaves for Sheffield Wednesday. And then you're looking at the Birmingham situation with Wayne Rooney. I mean, John Eustace apparently got told at the start of the season that they was looking for another manager, that he'd be only be in charge for a certain amount of games until they find that replacement, and they have. And the new owners, obviously, they've got ideas, haven't they, in the head, the new owners and that, to try and help this Birmingham side get back to the big time, which, you know, could pay off for them. But Wayne Rooney, you know, they brought him in, haven't they, from DC United? Well, he left DC United to go to Birmingham. A lot of speculation around that, wasn't there? That he would go to Birmingham. Then there was all about Eustace being linked with Rangers after Michael Beale left. I think he got sacked, didn't he, Michael Beale from Rangers? But Rooney, what is your initial thoughts on Wayne Rooney to Birmingham? Will it work out? Will it not? I know he's been at Derby, and he didn't really have the funding at Derby, did he, Wayne Rooney? He had to work with the squad that he got. They obviously got relegated, didn't they? Derby County to League One at the time when Wayne Rooney was there. He obviously left there, didn't he, at the end of that season, Wayne Rooney. And how do you think he'll get on this time round? I mean, he's got the squad, hasn't he? He's got a really decent squad at Birmingham. Who's John Eustace brought in quite a few players in the transfer window. How do you think he'll get on as Birmingham manager, Martin? Will he get them to where they want to be this season around the playoffs and that? Or do you think it'll take time for him to build this structure, what the owners see for the foreseeable future of getting them to the big time at some point?
I think he'd need a bit of time, whether the ownership would give it to him. But my initial thoughts when he went in there, this is like a publicity stunt for them.
That's what I was thinking. Ever was to bring in the money side of things, to
creates a massive interest.
Attract interest. I think that's what my viewing is of it. Some Birmingham fans are keen, some are not. But like I said, it's about giving it time. It's a project which the owners feel could work. If it does work, hats off to him. If it doesn't, then it's how much time do you actually give him to turn that around?
He's taken a bit of staff with him. He's taken some interesting characters. Ashley Cole's gone there. He's going to obviously be his assistant manager, I believe. John O'Shea, he's going there as well, and Carl Robinson's going there. So I think Robinson spent a bit of time at DC United with him as well. So he's bringing people in that are like his tried and tested, people that he can lean upon. You'd imagine that he let the others do the coaching, and he almost end up doing. I think he's a good motivator, Rooney, you would imagine. And the Derby fans love him, don't they? They speak really highly about Wayne Rooney in the period of time that he was there. But he was on a hide into nothing anyway there. There was no massive expectation other than there was a points deduction. Can you keep us in the league? And he nearly pulled off a miracle. And if he did, it would have been incredible. But it was an uphill battle, wasn't it?
Yeah, was Carl Robinson at MK Dons?
I think he was, yeah.
Is that the manager we're on about, the former Oxford manager?
I'm pretty sure it is, yeah. He's going to be with him as well. So he's got some top people around him. They give him a bit of money to spend in January, won't they? And they'll have a pop at it. But it's a big football. They want to make it a big football club, spending loads of money on the stadium, aren't they? They want to kick on. They want to create an identity. Like everybody wants to create this identity. Let's hope it's not boring. Pass it back around the back four, and he's a sort of manager that likes to have a go at teams, which I think he does. He's a sort of manager that's passionate, that's got fire in his belly. I hope he does well. I like him as a as a manager, to be honest. So I hope he does well, but it's a tough job.
It's a tough job, and then you got Jamie Vardy versus Wayne Rooney. I mean,
That'd be classic.
Vardy versus Rooney. I mean,
December.
That's going to be one that they're going to focus on as well, isn't it? Jamie Vardy. Will Jamie Vardy score against Birmingham and go and shithouse Rooney on the touchline? I mean, that's something that maybe it's in Jamie Vardy's mind. But there was obviously good friends, weren't they? Them two, when they played for England and that. And like I said, Rooney's got a lot of experience on the at football level. He's brought in the right heads to help Birmingham. It's actually executing that plan perfectly, and we'll see what happens. This is a stat that I picked up, Martin. The team's stat leaders, Ipswich, have scored the most goals. Leicester have got second most. Norwich highest X6-4. Leicester lead that one. Average possession, Southampton. Fewest goals against, Leicester. And lowest X goals against, Leicester. What's your initial thoughts on these stats?
I love looking at stats. Certainly the possession stat I just find annoying. Like Saints are the top of that. I don't know. I'm a bit bored with. I watched this Premier League, the Premier League game on the weekend. The billed as the big Super Sunday game between Manchester City and Arsenal at the Emirates. I just found it boring. Possession-based, pass it around the back. Pep Guardiola's got quite a lot to answer for, actually, because everybody wants to copy him. But his style of football at times can be a bit boring. Like, I've watched Saints a lot this season. I find it boring. I want to see the team have a bit of a go on. I want to see fire. I want to see power. I want to see pace. And the possession stats just annoy me. What have we done with the possession stats? We're first in it, but we've let as many goals in as pretty much anyone in the division. I think we're one of the 4 worst teams for letting goals in. So it hasn't got us anywhere at all. You need to have leadership and you've got to have some good defenders. But yeah, interesting stats there. Really interesting.
And the passing stats, Yannick Vestergaard has made 1,004 passes so far.
He's playing really well, isn't he?
In the games that he's played, the big day. Vestergaard has revitalised his career at Leicester. Credit's where it's due for him. Enzo Maresca's gave him a chance. He's a ball-playing out defender, and like I say, that stat speaks for itself. I mean, we'll all hold our hands up for criticising him in the past, as Leicester fans. But like I say, it's good to see that he's improved as a player. I know some people will say, but Jack, it's only the Championship. I bet he couldn't do that in the Prem. But
Championship's still a tough division.
Like I say, you never know. We could go and do it in the Prem next season if we do get promoted. So, like I say,
he's done it in the Premier League already, though,
really
isn't he?
Well. Oh,
he's done it in the Premier League for Southampton. He wasn't, before he got signed by Leicester, he was not a bad defender. He had a bit about him. I believe that he just needs a manager that is going to put his arm around him.
Yeah,
that's what he's got. He's got a manager that believes in him, and
not like Brendan Rodgers, who didn't want to play, left him out in the cold, and he didn't want to. It felt like it was a mistake, Brendan, to even sign Vestergaard. But at the end of the day, it's how you've got to, when you bring players in, you've got to be able to slowly get them into your playing system and evolve them in the squad and everything like that. Not sit there, but it's this problem and this problem, or I made a mistake doing it, and then leave him out in the cold. And then, I respect Vestergaard for not kicking up a bigger fuss than he needed to over the situation with Brendan leaving him out.
Showed a lot of professionalism, didn't he?
He showed professionalism for it. I mean, he had spoke about leaving a few times, which is obviously understandable with the amount of game time he's getting and stuff like that. And, try and push him out when, he felt that the team wasn't right for him to go to, with obviously, because players think about families and that, don't they? And, it's something that you first put in your mind with your family moving, and, that's where you first sort of marker is, isn't it? Moving your family to the right place. And and settling down and that. And if it ain't the right place for Vestergaard to go to, then he's not going to go there, is he? I mean,
No.
but like I say, Enzo Maresca's got him playing some really neat football. He can bloody spring a bloody 35, 40-yard pass, and you're thinking, how you done that, mate? You wouldn't have been doing that last season. But it shows how much professionalism he's got under Maresca, how excited and passion he's got now to playing football again. And like I say, Vestergaard's only going to get better this season, Martin, in my opinion. What's your initial thoughts?
No, I totally agree. I just think confidence is everything in football. We spoke about it on the show a few times. If you've got confidence, it can not just to a player, but to a team and a fan base and a feel good factor. And he's playing in the side that want to keep the ball, that are quite dynamic. He's got a really good midfielder in front of him in Harry Winks. Any defender, you'd be delighted to have Harry Winks in front of you, wouldn't you? And Shrewsbury Hall, because these boys, they want the football, but they take the ball when there's 3 or 4 players around them and pick it up and still be able to play. I watched Shrewsbury Hall a few times, and it must be a delight to have someone like him in front of you. You'd just be, wow, just give it to him. And then you got someone like Mavididi out on the wing. If you could get it out wide to someone like Mavididi, who I've not touched upon, it's the best attacking midfielder I've probably seen this season. I thought he was wonderful when I saw him playing, and when I've seen him on TV, he looks really good. The other one, Jonathan Rowe, at Norwich City, it's breakthrough season for him. He looks the real deal. But Mavididi, I'm not surprised Vestergaard's playing well in the side with those boys.
Yep, let's touch on the topics so far then, Martin, in the Championship. Shock result of the season so far. Where do we look at it? I mean, I know where we're going to go with this one. Plymouth beating Norwich 6-2, and Southampton losing 5-0 against Sunderland. They're my first 2 picks. What has been your shock results of the season so far?
I think from my own team's perspective, watching us get annihilated at the Stadium of Light, we didn't just get beaten, we got absolutely annihilated, and that could have easily been 8 or 9-0. Easily. We were that bad that day. It was a massive shock to me. It was a shock result. But yeah, I got a good, you brought up the Plymouth result. It's right up there for me, but for me, just because it was my team, I'm kind of, it still haunts me a little bit to this day, that defeat at Sunderland. And do you know what? That the ramification of that defeat, what it will do to the rest of our season, is pretty scary, to be quite honest, because it will live long in the memory. But it was a lot of damage caused that day. Yeah,
they always said at the start of the season there'll be some shock results in quite a lot of goals going in. And, for Plymouth to go and beat Norwich 6-2, a Norwich side who's really done well at home this season, who, you'd think, they've gone of quality to go to Plymouth and win that game. Plymouth proved otherwise with Whittaker and that, you know what I mean? Their front three's doing wonders this season, Plymouth. You think to yourself, when they are losing games by a high amount of goals, has their bubble burst? And then they all of a sudden reacted with a result like that. And you're thinking, bloody hell, this is some bloody doing this. And then you look at the Southampton result and you're thinking, Southampton have made it easy for bloody Sunderland here, aren't they? 3 goals down before half time, and you're thinking this could get even worse. How did you find the first half against Sunderland? I mean, was it 3 goals down or 4?
There were 2 goals down inside the first 15 minutes.
That was it. And then we
were just wide open. And we played into their hands, really. They've got a player that's in absolute form. He's joint top goal scorer in Jack Clark at the moment. He was really good against us that day. It was the first time I got to see him, and he's been really good ever since. So I've kind of kept a little bit of an eye on him.
Why not? If he wants to stay and play football, why not?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, why not? But yeah, he's done. Yeah, I think that they're that result was just unbelievable from a Southampton fan's perspective. But yeah, it was even more alarming that you thought you probably get a bit of a bounce from that. You think, well, we've got annihilated by them. You've got an international break, which is never. I think it was an international break in between it. There was an international break, and then we come back and have to play Leicester City. And you think, oh, we have a little bit of a response here. And we did do nothing like it. What did Leicester score inside the first minute at St Mary's?
First 21 seconds of the game.
It was game over. It was game over inside in 20 seconds at St Mary's. Just thought, I can't believe what I'm watching. But yeah, it's been a real testing 11 games as a football fan at my club, that's for sure. But I've enjoyed the Championship. I enjoy watching the highlight show on ITV on a Saturday night as well. I'm proper into it at the moment. I watch more Championship than I do Premier League. So
I think you learn a lot more, don't you, Martin, as the season goes on. Yeah. I mean, when you're new to it, when you get relegated to the Championship, you don't really know any of the players and the old teams itself. And as a Leicester fan this season, I've had to sit there and do a lot of research and look on the internet at these players and how these teams have done last season and all that, and really get my head into it. And I've watched quite a lot of the football, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the Championship so far. No lie. I know Leicester are top, but apart from that, I mean, I really enjoyed it. No VAR, where you have to wait bloody 15 minutes for them to make the bloody decision after looking at an
and then they get the decision wrong as well. Yeah, they still get the decision wrong.
Yeah, do you think? You know what I mean?
Do you see Leicester having a bump in the road? When you look at the season, they talk about every team having a bump in the road. Can you see a bump in the road? Do you think there could potentially be one at some stage?
I think you say that for every team. You could say the same for Ipswich. When will the cookie crumble? And you could say it for every team. It's like when we lost to Hull. That's that little bump in the road, isn't it? But then it's how you react to that defeat, isn't it? The game after. And I think we've reacted well to that. Ipswich again, you look at them, they lost to Leeds. That was their little bump in the road, thinking, can Ipswich respond here? Is it Ipswich now starting to worry a little bit of panic on? But now Ipswich are scoring enough goals. They are. You've got to score quite a few goals to bloody beat them this season, it looks like. Leeds just got it over the line, scoring 4. But like I say, every team has a little bump in the road, in it. But it's how you respond during that break, in it, of when it does happen and you do lose a game. And I think a lot of teams would say the same. Martin, we're going to have a look at surprise of the season. I want you to pick out 2 teams or a team where you've had them, well, actually not had them, but surprise of the season so far. Who surprised you? Which Championship teams have surprised you so far this season? I'll let you go first.
When you say surprise, for all goodness or good and bad?
Both. Which, I'll tell you what, we'll do both. We'll do good and bad. We'll go through it.
Okay, then. This is easy for me.
I'm going to say Preston.
Well, that's good. They've been brilliant.
In a good way, I'd say Preston for me. Didn't expect to be where they should be, but like I say, a lot of hard work and dedication and that. Well, with Ryan Lowe and that, they've surprised me this season so far in the way they are. But then you look at who else we got in there? Cardiff. I mean, they've surprised me this season after having about 4 managers before Errol Bullock took over. I mean, he's changed their fortunes there. Cardiff are the one who surprised me this season. In a good way, bad way. Let me have a look at the table, actually. I'll tell you what. I'll look at the table. I'll tell you what. I'm going to say Stoke City. I'll tell you what. Stoke have surprised me in a bad way here because 18 players came in the transfer window. They had the busiest transfer window out of any other club in the Championship. They started off well, but then they've fallen deep and they've had about bloody 10 injuries on this during this period of time. They've had a lot of injuries and that, and they've had a lot to do with. They've surprised me in a bad way, Stoke. I expected more from them this season with the amount of players they brought in, but they remind me of like the Nottingham Forest situation in the Premier League. You have to gel all these players together, and that's something that Alex Neil has had to do, and I just don't feel they've done that. And they now sit just above the relegation zone by 2 points. So Stoke is my bad sort of surprise. I expected better from them this season with the amount of players they brought in.
Yeah, I'll give you my two. For good, I think they've been outstanding. I keep touching upon them as Ipswich.
Yeah.
I love watching them. I think I thought that they would be a mid-table, so I might sneak the playoffs. I didn't expect them to be second. Going into the middle of October, I think they've been outstanding. My biggest disappointment is my own team. I'm really disappointed in my own team. For loads and loads of reasons. I'm disappointed with the caliber of player we've got, the recruitment we did in the summer, and I just thought we would give ourselves a better chance. I thought we should be competing to go straight back up in this division. But a lot of football fans, a lot of Southampton fans have criticised me for saying it, but I'm really, really disappointed in us. There's a lot of teams that have probably done a lot worse than us. But from expectations as a fan this season, I expected so much more. And I just feel really disappointed with the 4 defeats that we had were appalling. And some of the they've been so naive at times. And I don't think the manager's learned quick enough. I think he has to learn a lot quicker. But yeah, that's my 2 teams. Bit of a shock throwing Saints in there, but I have to because I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, I think the Saints have surprised quite a lot of people this season in a bad way. You know, they've disappointed, haven't they? The expectations of them of
but the ownership come out
promotion and that, and teams that people have had them in the playoffs, even myself. And you know, I think the expectations and the pressure that's come with it. It's kind of like juggling as many balls, and Southampton obviously haven't done that, have they? They've juggled. They've had too much to deal with.
And you have an ownership come out, or an owner come out, and they basically outline their plans for the season, expectations for the season. And I think once you hear the ownership's expectations, the fans obviously have their expectations, and if they're matched, then it's like promotion, win the league, automatic promotion, and everyone feels that that's the aim. And when you're nowhere near it and you're not showing nowhere near enough, I think it creates a split fan base, and I think people's expectations are massively being let down. But I just want to see a bit more passion, a bit more commitment, a bit more running through brick walls, because I think you have to show some teams you have to play different in the Championship. You can't always play the same way against certain sides, because some sides will sit back against certainly a Leicester or a Southampton and try and absorb pressure and be hard to break down. But you have to look at different ways to break teams down. You've got to have a plan B, plan C. It's so important.
Yep, I agree. Game of the season so far. Obviously, Sunderland's would be Southampton. If you look at Leicester, you'd probably say the Southampton game, the Coventry game, the Rotherham game. Games where we've really had to go do well in games, to be fair. They're my 3 sort of games of the season so far. To be honest, I mean, beating your local rivals, it's good. It's a good feeling, isn't it? But then beating Southampton in the manner that we did and dominating the game in the way we did, I thought that was fantastic. You could throw the Preston game in there, to be fair, where we had an obstacle in front of us and we've had to build round it and get round that. And like I say, second half turned up really good. The Blackburn result itself, another one where you show real resilience and that in the games. And they're sort of some of the games of my games of the season so far, watching Leicester. Martin, Southampton.
My most enjoyable performance, I think for entertainment, was Norwich Saints at home. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was loads of goals. It was 8 goals in it. It was end-to-end stuff. I can't say that we've ever looked quite convincing in any game that I've seen us play. Even QPR at home, we struggled to beat them. I just haven't seen us give someone a really good game and look runaway winners. We haven't done that. So I'm going with that 4-4 draw at St Mary's. It was a game on a warm summer's day that was thoroughly enjoyable. Either team could have nicked it, but it was a spectacle for the neutral, that's for sure.
What a game. I remember being at Huddersfield away that day, Martin. And when I heard the bloody result, thinking, who's going to get a fifth here?
It could have happened as well. Southampton could have scored in the dying moments of the game. It was Adam Armstrong, but yeah, it was a hell of a game.
Player of the season so far. I think if we go through some of the clubs, Sunderland, you'd say Jack Clark. Plymouth,
Jack Clark,
Plymouth, you'd say Whittaker. Adam Armstrong for Southampton. Then you've got
Nathan Broadhead's been really good at
Ipswich, Broadhead, yeah, Leicester.
Brilliant.
You could say the bloody old team, but now I think if you look at individuals, you'd probably say your player of the season so far is like your Wild Fatties, your Vestergaard, your Harry Winkses, your Hermansons, and players like that. Then you look at Leeds, you'd obviously point out Joel Pirro, wouldn't you, as their player of the season so far, banging in the goals still. Who else have we got? Who else have we got in the league so far where they're really strutting their stuff? Can you think of anyone, Martin, from other clubs?
Jack Clark, obviously, I think you've already mentioned him. I think he's been superb for Sunderland. Any Sunderland fan would absolutely be raving about him.
Yeah.
At Saints, I find it hard to pull a player out. I did a TikTok video actually trying to play that's impressed me the most, that's disappointed me the most, and I found it hard to find a player that's impressed me.
Jonathan Rowe, that's it, from Norwich.
Jonathan Rowe at Norwich, isn't that? It's like his breakthrough season. I was hearing the other day. He's done really, really well there. Young boy Gabriel Sarr there. Again, another player that looks really good. He's destined for big things, isn't he?
John Swift at West Brom.
Yeah, he's another really good player. But I think Rose scored 7 goals in league and cup already.
Let's have a look. Jonathan Rowe has got 6 goals so far in the Championship. Ryan Hardy at Plymouth.
He's done really well.
He's doing really well. Connor Chaplin, another key player for Ipswich. He's getting in the goals. Aaron Connolly at Hull. He's proven he can score goals still. He's really doing well. But then you look at Casey McAteer at Leicester. I mean, a young lad, never played in the Championship before, given the time under Maresca, and he's sadly out with injury at the minute after the Blackburn game, but he's really impressed me so far as well. He's another player of the season so far for me. Casey McAteer, who will obviously come back stronger from that injury. He's been a key player for Leicester so far. But yeah, there's been some players who have really done well. Is it Patrick Roberts as well at Sunderland?
Yeah, they say he's one of their best players. There are loads of Premier League clubs looking at him.
And then McGree at Middlesbrough. I mean, he seems to be banging in a few now, doesn't he, McGree? Yes, there's quite a few to talk about, aren't there?
It's some division.
Someone said Vestergaard and Vardy. Next one is the last one, Martin. Who is doing better than we predicted? At the bottom, no one's doing better than what I predicted. I think I've got it about right at the bottom of where they are. Hull, I probably didn't have Hull where they are at the minute. I mean, they're doing really well from where I predicted them. Sunderland, another one. I thought it was the momentum from coming up from League One that would carry on for them. But then there was always talk about Sunderland. How do you respond to the season before getting knocked out of the playoffs and that? And they're doing better than I predicted them for this season. I think I just had them outside the playoffs. Preston, another one, like I say, doing better than I predicted. Ipswich, they sit second. They're doing better than I predicted. I've had them in the playoffs so far. Then you look at Cardiff. I've had Cardiff bottom half of the table. They're proving me wrong. And yeah, they're some of the teams that I've looked at who are doing better than I predicted them to be by the end of the season. But at the minute, from looking back at what I predicted them at the start of the season to where I thought they'd be to what they are now, it really is going to surprise me to see if these teams can really keep up the tempo and push on and
Birmingham.
higher than I predicted them to finish,
Birmingham,
and that's something
got to
that we're
throw
going to have to talk
Birmingham in. I
about.
didn't expect
Oh, hi,
Birmingham to be where
Birmingham,
they
yeah.
are. But you throw Birmingham into the mix. They're in sort of like the playoff places at the moment. Well, they're sitting sixth in the division. They've done really well. They've had a really good start to the season and sacked their manager. Incredible stuff. Only in the championship.
Then we look at who else have we got? Norwich City. I mean, I didn't have Norwich. I think I had Norwich about ninth place this season. I think I had Norwich. I mean, they've surprised me as well. The start they had. I mean, they look like a force at the start of the season. So, is anyone doing better, Martin, than you predicted them in the table in the predictions you had them at the start of the season in the league?
Yeah, quite a few. Obviously, Ipswich, Preston did a lot better than expected. Birmingham City, Cardiff as well as a standout. They've done really well, haven't they, so far? And I don't think anyone expected them to be eighth at the moment, which they are. They've just had a really solid start. They just went on a run of games where they just all of a sudden got quite hard to beat. But they've got a great fan base down there, haven't they? They've got fans behind them. There's not major expectations there. And it makes a difference sometimes. Players feel a bit freer when there's no expectation, just to go out and do their stuff. And certainly what's happened there. Be interesting to sort of see when we have this conversation come Christmas, how it pans out between now and Christmas. I think it's a tough run for a lot of sides. Again, the games are coming thick and fast. We're in the last international break, or we got maybe one more. So there's another. I'm not sure there's another. There might be one more international break, but the run once the clocks change, a couple of weeks' time, that run to Christmas is really hard for any side. People pick up injuries, don't they? And who can keep it going? Can Leicester City and Ipswich Town keep the momentum going? I believe they will. I believe they both will.
Yeah, it's about keeping up tempo, and like I say, with a championship, Christmas is where you look at the table and realistically, you know where teams are actually going to finish and who's actually going to be where you think they was going to be and where they should be, in and around there. And
there is another international break.
One.
There's another internet. Yeah, there's another one next month. So we'll have a pack of fixtures now, and then there'll be another one.
Yep, fantastic, Martin. Guys, if you've enjoyed the stream, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. If you're watching this on playback, get involved. Let us know what you think, what me and Martin have discussed. Martin, before I let you go, mate, let everybody know what you do at Football Martin and where they can find you, pal.
Yeah, please give me a like and subscribe over at Football Martin. If you're on YouTube watching, when the stream ends, jump over to my channel, give me a like, subscribe, and you'll get all my content. There's predominantly Southampton related content. So if you want to know what's going on at Saints, I'm your man for sure. And matchday vlogs as well. Plenty of those going up at the moment. And they're always enjoyable. Always looking for fans from opposition teams as well. So if you want to come on the show, drop us a DM.
Martin, thanks for coming on, mate, being my guest tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Cheers.
I appreciate it. Cheers, Martin. That was Martin. Thank you for him for being my guest tonight. Really hope you guys have enjoyed the EFL Championship form tonight, discussing